Welcome to You've Got This with Sarah Hamaker, a podcast to encourage and equip moms along their parenting journey. Join Sarah each week as she interviews dads and moms like you and discusses the joys, challenges, and rewards of raising kids.
Hi, and welcome to this week's You've Got This. I'm your host, Sarah Hamaker, and I'm glad you joined me. Today I want to talk about great Christmas expectations. What is it about the holiday that really kind of gets us crazy? Especially as women, sometimes we just add way too much on our plates, and before we know it, we're exhausted and it's Christmas Eve and we still have to wrap presents. So I want to talk a little bit in today's podcast about how to separate the expectations of others from what we really want this holiday season. When the calendar flips to December, how many of us jump into turbo gear, determined to have the best Christmas ever, even if we don't slow down long enough to enjoy it? From decorations to gifts, we often take on, consciously or unknowingly, the expectations of others this time of year. In our mind's eye, don't we as women have a picture of what the ideal Christmas should be? We work really hard to make our Christmas match our ideal. We want Christmas to be done right. But all too often, this quest for the perfect Christmas can overwhelm us, leaving us frazzled and frustrated come January, or even come December 25th if we really are honest with ourselves. But our lives don't have to become such a blur of activity that the true meaning of Christmas is obscured amidst the tinsel and wrapping paper. Here are some ways to have the Christmas that's right for you and your family. First off, we need to recognize the culture. We as women face immense demands from society to do it all, and never more so than around a major holiday like Christmas. There's a lot of cultural pressure to have it all together, to do it all. To counter that stress, we need to remember that we don't draw our significance in what we do, but in who we are in Christ. When we recognize that, it can lessen the strain of feeling like we need to do everything possible to make the holiday the most wonderful day of the year. We also need to know our wiring. God created us as women to have a great capacity to love and to be loved. Sometimes we can overextend ourselves in the quest to serve others because of that God-given desire. But we need to have the freedom to be who God created us to be. But who God created me to be isn't necessarily the same as who our neighbors, our moms, or our other friends are. So we have to remember, just because your friend decorates her house like Martha Stewart or Joanna Gaines doesn't mean that you have to if that really stresses you out. Just because your friend has a live tree doesn't mean you have to. Just because your neighbor has the most amazing light show ever doesn't mean you have to. Right, if it's not in your wiring. Right, but the next one is what I really feel that has really helped me. Write down your expectations. Get them out of your head where you can externalize them and really see what you're dealing with. This can help us identify the particular expectations with which you feel pressure to comply. Do you feel pressure to string popcorn up for the birds every winter because your mom did it for you and you remember how much you enjoyed that as a kid? Well, what if you really don't like to? What if that's just an added stress this time of year? So writing down those expectations. I also had my kids do this. One year I had them write down, I said, what do you want from Christmas this year, this holiday season? And I was surprised at how little they really wanted. They wanted to drive around and look at lights. They wanted to have hot chocolate while we decorated the Christmas tree. They wanted to do these simple things, and I baked cookies together. And I thought, I can do that. We can do that. So we came up with a schedule and we kind of stuck with it, and it was a better Christmas. We felt less pressure, more able to help have a better Christmas season. So once you write down your expectations, analyze them. Delve beyond the surface to find out how you view the items. Some questions to ask is this an expectation or a tradition? If so, if this expectation is a tradition? Is it? If so, who started the tradition? What would happen if the tradition isn't kept? Do I feel pressure to meet this expectation because my mother always did or my mother-in-law always did? Will my children be disappointed if I don't do this? Will God be disappointed? Will the authors of magazines on Christmas decorating and cooking come after me if my house and food don't measure up to their pictures? That's my favorite. For me, they probably would because they never would measure up. What do I want? What's really necessary? But if you don't want to ask all these questions, I just have one. Would this bring me joy? Will this bring my family joy? So think about those things. And I suggest you try to do that before Christmas, but I realize this is airing the week of Christmas. So maybe next year you think about those. Prioritize the expectations. Once you've analyzed your list, draw up an A, B, and C version. The A list should have the essentials. These are the no compromise items, like your kid's Christmas band concert or your daughter's recital. The key to the A list is to keep it short. I mean, this is like absolutely necessary items. The B list is what you'll do if your schedule permits. And the C list usually contains the expectations of others. So, for example, one mom told me that her C list is wrapping presents for all the people I need to thank at Christmas time. And she decided, will they be disappointed in a plain white envelope instead of a pretty bow? Maybe, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. So she decided, I'm still giving a gift, but do I have to wrap it really pretty? Set boundaries. Discuss with your family what you will and won't do Christmas before Christmas Eve. My kids are well aware of ahead of time that there will be what Christmas will be like, such as no huge presents, but they're also aware that we'll still have the traditions of family, another mom told me. All of us know what to expect, and that helps me get rid of the expectations of others. Build in margins. This is one of my favorites. According to Christian physician Dr. Richard Swinson, quote, margin is the space between our load and our limits, unquote. This means we should schedule less and not more to allow for the unexpected. And especially around the holiday, having a freer calendar will create those margins and allow us more downtime to truly relax during the season with our family and friends. So build in extra margins. Listen to our husbands. Our spouses often know when we're taking on too much before we do, and it would behoove us to pay attention to their admonitions to slow down. My husband helps me as my sounding board, and he does have a pretty good idea of how much I can handle and isn't shy to tell me when I'm taking on too much, another mom told me. So I start to add in things that aren't needed or go overboard. He'll help move me back to reality, and I love this because don't we need people, family, friends, our kids sometimes will help us move us back to reality. Involve the family. Oftentimes our husbands, our spouses, our friends, our children, extended family have gifts that we don't fully appreciate. So tap into their willingness to help by telling them what needs to be done. Example, as your kids get over, don't overlook their gifts and ability. So, for example, my daughters often do the place cards for family dinners. Sometimes I ask them to organize the family photo album or, help wrap the presents, or we all decorate the tree together and we all take it down together. So that kind of helps us figure out, have a freer time that we don't have to do everything. Let go. This seems so easy, yet it can be the hardest thing to actually do. Part of the difficulty to let go of expectations could be an unwillingness to make choices or a lack of courage and determination to do things differently than other people do them. Part of it could also be insecurity or even just plain liking some of the things we need to do, let go of in order to devote our attention to something more valuable to our family's experience. And this is so important, isn't it? Let go of our expectations and realize what is important. For several years, we got our live Christmas tree. I ordered it online and had it delivered to our house. It was wonderful. I needed that. We just simply I didn't have the bandwidth to take the children and to go to a lot to pick out a tree. I just couldn't do it. So having it picked out and delivered and ordered in July, funnily enough, to have it delivered to our house in early December was great. We're back to picking out our tree from the lot, but it's fine. Now I can manage that, but for a while I couldn't. So I had to let go of that kind of picture in my mind, everyone bundled up, the cold, crisp air, we're surrounding the trees. It never was that ideal. So letting go of some of those expectations or using some of the conveniences that we have to lessen your load. Seek peace. In the midst of our busyness, don't neglect the sweet, still, quiet of peace. Especially around the holidays, Maybe you turn everything off and you just sit in silence for a minute. We've been so rushed and busy that even if you do this in the car, it can be rejuvenating. And finally, just try something different. Remember that it's not too late to have the Christmas you and your family crave, however that looks. You can start with a small change or make a wholesale switch. Whatever you do, keep in mind that making the effort and failing one year doesn't mean you can't try again the next. So if this year it's a little late for you to put some of these things in order, since it is December 23rd when this podcast first aired, you can always do it next year. You can always think about it earlier. We always learn from what we experience. The next time we try, we may be more successful. So I'm going to end this podcast with a few of my favorite ways to celebrate the holiday. And again, you may want to use these in future holidays. But here are some things that our family has done off and on over the years, and you may or may not want to incorporate them. So here you go. If you want to celebrate Christmas all month long, you can use Advent calendars. Those are really great. Our reading Christmas, one year when our kids were little, each December 1st, we would get out our Christmas books and holiday movies. And every day during December, one kid got to pick a book or a movie for the entire family to watch or read. Variations of this include wrapping the books and movies separate and having kids pick something sight unseen. And, you can visit your library for books. And it was a lot of fun for many years. And our kids are older now and it's kind of lost its luster a little bit. But there's still some favorite Christmas books that we always get out and read at Christmas time. Decorating. Decorating parties can be really fun. We serve hot chocolate, as I mentioned earlier, and have Christmas music on, and we try to keep our 3 cats out of the decorations as we put up the tree, which is always a challenge, but it can be very fun. You can remember your animal friends, plain popcorn and string it with fresh cranberries. Paint pine cones with peanut butter or nut butters. Those kind of things that hang outside can be kind of fun. This is a wonderful season for music. You can go caroling through your neighborhood. You can just have a musical evening with some friends around your Christmas tree. And you can also, a lot of churches and other venues put on free Christmas concerts. It's a wonderful time to hear some really first-class music. So take advantage of those. And the bright lights. Even after Christmas, you can just go around and look at the neighborhood lights. Those are usually pretty fun, and some of those can rival the ones that you pay for. And most localities do have light shows at local parks that you can pay to drive through. We have found going like the week after Christmas is a great time because it's a little less crowded, and you can still enjoy the lights of the season. Handmade from the heart. You can make ornaments for your tree. You can make holiday cards or thank you cards. This is good. Thank you cards are wonderful. If you want to know how to do thank you cards, you can sign up for my newsletter this month and get for free the art of thank you letters to help your kids write those thank you notes. Homemade wrapping paper. We did this one year with I had a bunch of brown paper. Sometimes you can get that with things that are shipped to you. I just smooth it out and they just put stamps and glitter and marker on it, and I used that for wrapping paper one year. It was great. Video cheer. You can record an original family Christmas presentation with skits and songs and make DVD copies and send them off to fall, or you can just email them and upload them to YouTube or post it on the family Facebook page, and you can even work on that as well. Christmas is a time of giving. It might be too late this year to adopt a family, but maybe you think about what you could do in January. Many times food banks get low in the beginning of the year, so maybe you think about this year at Christmas what you could do to help a family next year. Volunteer and smile. Sometimes just being cheerful yourself can really make someone's day. And on Christmas Day, read the Christmas story with your kids, whatever version Bible you want, or Matthew and Luke, whatever Christmas story you like, read it with your kids. It's really meaningful to remember why we are celebrating. Some people sing Happy Birthday to Jesus or bake Jesus a birthday cake. And you just, keep in mind that we should be grateful for the gifts we're given. We should be grateful for our families. And just to remind ourselves of that this Christmas is the best possible way to do that. For recommended reading, there you can look on the list of this podcast. I have a couple books there that you might find helpful. But no matter how you celebrate Christmas, keep in mind that your family is not like anyone else's, and your holiday traditions don't have to be either. Use these ideas to develop your own Christmas traditions and cherished holiday memories. Well, I thank you for joining me for this recording of You've Got This. I'm your host, Sarah Hammaker, and I'll be back next week with a new guest. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast of You've Got This with Sarah Hammaker. Sign up to receive notification of new podcasts and listen to previous editions at sarahhammaker.com. Until next time, remember, parenting might be hard sometimes, but don't worry, you've got this.